Welcome to the Sittin' Pretty Pod. My name is Ellie. I'll be your host forever on this podcast. I hope to have amazing guests in the future, but for right now, it's a little old me. And today is the origin story of how L.E Studios came to be. If you don't know what L.E Studios is, hi, my name is Ellie Festa. I am a 24-year-old beauty business owner. In our studio, we specialize in lashes, brows, waxing, and spray tans. There's more detail on those services coming in next episode, episode 2. But for right now, let's just go with that. If you get it, you get it. So a lot of people, a lot of my clients even, always ask, how did you know that you wanted to do this? And I really did not. These things come out of nowhere sometimes, and being business owners isn't technically the plan for a lot of people. I guess we'll start where I was adopted. No, I'm kidding. Is that too soon? Anyways, the origin story of L.E Studios really came from in high school. I was resistant as a student. I never wanted to turn anything in. School just was not for me. My original plan was maybe be a dancer, maybe be a model. Those two things didn't work out. Both industries are just really tough, and to be quite honest, that wasn't the standard that I wanted for myself. It's a really, really high standard for something I didn't even know if it was realistic for me. So I also have a cousin that I've always looked up to. Her name is Sydney, and she is so very talented as a hairstylist. And so I really just had that to look up to and say, hey, there's an alternate route to going to college. You don't have to go to college. Personally, if you have a passion or if you have an interest in something else, you do not have to go to college first and get a degree and then do that. So personally, I knew college was not in the future, although I did apply to Rowan University for business and got in. I ultimately decided to not go that route. Instead, I immediately went into esthetician school. I graduated in June of 2018, started in July of 2018 with esthetician school. And I remember actually the first week, this is a side note, but crazy because this woman has a huge role in my life, but my dance coach that I grew up with, not even as a dance coach only, but a second mom, a mentor, who still to this day I always think, what would she do? What would she say? How would she encourage me to approach situations? Her name is Miss Debbie. She passed away. My mom woke me up before the second day of school, I believe, of esthetician school, saying that Miss Debbie has passed, and she had been having some problems. And so it definitely was not a shocker, really, but at the same time it was, because you just don't think that's going to happen. So right off the bat, started esthetician school in a rough place, tried to move on, and just school is hourly when you're an esthetician. So I worked really hard. It was actually the first school situation where I was like, okay, I'm good at this, and I'm going to continue with this momentum, and I'm going to turn in my stuff, and I'm going to test well. And it was actually the only schooling that I ever felt like I got this. I'm a good student. And which was really, really interesting to me. I went throughout school. School is school as an esthetician. A lot of people have high expectations, and they're really just there to have you pass state board exams, and that's it. You learn, moral stuff. You learn lessons from your teacher who has been in the industry. But in reality, it's not going to be the best of the best experience. No, you're going to be down in the dumps. You're going to question your life. You're going to wonder if this is even the place that you want to be at that time in your life, which I know a lot of the people in my class experienced, especially me. And even though I was doing well, I felt that passion, I was excited. There were also days where I was like, what is going on? Am I even going to be able to make money off of this? Maybe I should go to college. Maybe I shouldn't. All of the people in my grade are going through all of the things that I should be partying, stages, anything. I was just like, oh man, am I depriving myself of this? Also, I started in the summer. That was rough after just getting done with 18 years of school. I hopped right into another schooling, and you know what? At the time, I was so insecure about it, but I look back now and I'm so grateful that I did not fall into the norms of college and drinking and partying. And although that stuff is fun and there's no judgment there, and some people learn their lessons in life from going through those scenarios, it just was never for me. I was like in high school, I was a partier for a phase, and then I don't know. I think I grew out of it. It wasn't really an interest of mine, which again, it's okay. Like everyone has their own standards, right? So my standard was just like, I'm kind of done with this. I don't really think so. It took me, like, I don't think I want to party. I don't think I want to be involved with all of what these people that I went to high school are now doing. But it definitely took me a long time to get there. It wasn't an easy thing to kind of say that to myself and figure out about myself, but I got there eventually. And shortly after I got a job in Pennsylvania, I got a dual licensed in New Jersey and Pennsylvania as an esthetician, State Board of Cosmetology. And I quickly started realizing that, oh, I'm starting from scratch. I have to develop my own clientele. And if you know and you're in the industry, I hope a lot of you are watching this, it's not going to be fun. Okay, you get into the industry, you're thrown in, you're questioning your life, you're questioning if you're good, you're comparing yourself to everyone around you in the work environment. Unfortunately, our work environments a lot of the times are not as healthy as you would imagine, which I fully, now that I am in the position of being a boss, I give major props to the bosses that I've had in the past in this industry. It's hard. It's really hard. We'll get into that on another episode of what it's like being a boss. But I just didn't have the best of time. Not everyone was welcoming. Being young in the industry, it's kind of weird. No one likes you being young in the industry, and they look down upon you. And I get it. It's like a natural thing that happens with them. But personally, I did not feel welcomed. I did not feel like I was liked in the environment. I was trying my best. I commuted an hour. Like the way I got this job is I turned in an application, and there's actually 3 locations of this place. And I knew that the boss was located on the main line in PA. If you know where that is in regards to like South Jersey, that's about like an hour and 15 minutes away. And I was 18, maybe 19. No, I was 18 at the time. No, freshly 19, sorry. And I drove my little self an hour and 15 minutes away with my application, with my cover letter. I turned it in there and I said, hey, I applied, I've called, I just wanted to hand you this in person. I'm coming from New Jersey. I'm really interested in this position that you have. Please give me a call. This is my phone number. Left my stuff there. I got a call pretty quickly, and I think a lot can be said about just putting in that effort, showing the person you're applying to or the place you're applying to that you're ready and you will show up and you will put the effort in. And I think that's what that action was saying to that boss. So I get a call, I go, I interview, I get this job, and I thought, oh yeah, I'm gonna make $100,000. I am that girl. And I quickly realized that was not the case. I was making $10 an hour plus tips. But that was like the norm at that time and how much like people expected to make hourly. So I was driving either into Philly or to the main line. And that was a lot for me. I learned a lot about myself while driving and commuting, and I learned very quickly that I will do anything to grow. I will do anything to learn. I started listening to podcasts, and then slowly but surely, I just kind of faded out, and my interest really did not sit with aesthetics anymore. Through podcasts, like listening to podcasts, I actually found a real estate guy who was very inspirational. I think his name is Tom Ferry, and he basically was just kind of explaining the motions of being a real estate agent, and it really piqued my interest. So having that interest led me to losing even more interest in what I was doing, unfortunately. Oh, nor. Guys, I just thought my microphone was not working. It was. We're good. I was losing interest because I was gaining interest in something else, which is normal. But I think I just dove my head into real estate and did not give any crap about aesthetics anymore. I resented my boss. I resented the people I worked with. I was thrown into a spray tan service that I just quite literally had no idea what I was doing. And then I was told that it was not good. And I just felt lost. So what do? Lean into something else. And I think, oh yeah, I'm going to make it big. So I ended up turning in my 2 weeks for that job. I actually got my own apartment while I was working at this place. My parents were helping a little bit with the funds of it. And I have the most amazing parents ever. They've supported every vision I have had in my life, and I'm very thankful for that. Not fully money-wise, they like me to learn. They like me to learn for sure, and I actually really appreciate that. But they helped a little bit with me getting on my feet, being in this apartment, and I learned a lot while being in that apartment, being independent. You know, my kitchen would get so disgusting, and I learned how to just try and manage myself and delegate myself, and eventually I would clean the dishes because I'd be like, this is disgusting, who's doing this? And then it was me, and I just learned so much about myself in that era for sure. And so anyways, I turned in my 2 weeks at that job. I then found a way to get out of my lease. This was like November of 2019. And I started working at Olive Garden while living with my parents. And at the same time, my first week at Olive Garden was, and Olive Garden, if you know, they train you actually very thoroughly in the beginning to where it's like pretty serious. You can't miss the training. Good for them. Like they got their system down. But I was studying a lot for that. I was studying like the items on the menu and the specialties of that time. And it's like legit. And for me, like I am not good at memorizing like that. So I was very proud of myself for going through that at the same time that I was in real estate school. And I did the fast version of real estate school, which is 2 weeks, all day, every day. And then at night, I would go to Olive Garden, study, do all of that. It was actual chaos. And that second week, I actually got sick, which at the time, this was pre-COVID. And I look back and I'm like, was that COVID? Like, I think we all had that moment. But yeah, I got sick and I still went through school. Sorry. Like, I know that sounds illegal now post-COVID, but went to school still sick because I was like, there is no way I'm doing extra hours. Because again, this type of schooling is based off of the hours. So I went through it. I tested out of the class pretty well. It was hard though. Like real estate in New Jersey, especially New Jersey with anything is just crazy. So I went through that. I tested out of the class and I did pretty well. And then I went to do my state testing, like the legit New Jersey state testing for real estate. And I failed once. I failed twice. Then I failed a third time. And that third time felt agonizing. I was not okay. I remember I was screaming bloody murder, crying. At this point, I'm pretty sure I was already a little bit suicidal in my life. I felt lost. And I felt like there was nothing for me in this world. And I felt like a failure because I did so well in testing with esthetician school. I was like, my brain's developing, like I'm getting better doing these things. No, I could not pass that real estate test to save my life. And so I kind of just fizzled out of that world. And I was really upset about it. I thought, I'm going to be the best real estate agent. I was listening to this podcast, I was getting hyped up, and I think I just wasn't willing to put in that work, actually, when I look back. I wasn't willing to sit there and study for hours on end for real estate. I wanted it to come easy to me. I wanted to just be able to sell a house, give them a tour, be cute, say, oh yeah, I'm in my cute little blazer, look at this wall. Like, I don't know what I imagined for myself as a real estate agent, but it was not realistic. I was not realistic with myself. So I just kept working at Olive Garden, did not pursue the real estate, and then all of a sudden, COVID happened. COVID-19. Well, I think at Olive Garden, they said 2 weeks. I think everyone said 2 weeks. And I was like, oh, yes, like, thank you. Like, I do not want to be involved with this. Like, get me away from Olive Garden. Maybe this is, like, my sign to, like, just stop doing this, find my way to do something else. So in COVID, I was really depressed, honestly wanted to die, literally wanted to die. I was so confused in life. I did not know what I was meant to do. But the worst of it all, and Tim, my fiance, poor him, he was on the other side of the phone every night, me just crying and saying, I know that I am meant to do something more than what I am right now. And everyone in my life is like, I'm not worried about you. I know you're going to pursue what you want to pursue. I'm not worried about you. Ellie's going to do great. This and that. They were not meaning to put that pressure on me, but I absolutely felt like I had the weight of the world on my shoulders, and that everyone had high expectations for me, and that I had high expectations for myself. And I felt like I needed to do more. So, I mean, just for a month straight, maybe more, just like that was my mindset. And of course, like, COVID kept getting extended, whatever. And then all of a sudden I was like, I will go to nursing school. Why not? Why not start in COVID? It's only 2 years into all of my peers going to college. I won't feel that far behind. Like, there won't be any judgment with it. I'm going to do that. And to that, my dad quickly said, hold on. I think maybe you should become like a certified nursing assistant, a CNA, or something to be in that world to recognize that it's probably not for you, or something along the lines. He was just trying to like snap me out of that real quick. And I ended up getting a CNA job mid-COVID, like not even mid-COVID, a month and a half into COVID. Crazy going into the medical field. I don't know how I did it. But I will say this job was the most pivotal job of my life. I mean, yes, now like my business is definitely super pivotal in my life, but I am not kidding you when I say I still was very depressed working at this place. Don't get me wrong. And I was still crying to Tim every night. But I would go to work and there was purpose. And I realized that there is great suffering within other people. I mean, I worked in a nursing home as a CNA during COVID, and I hate using this term, but it's the only way I can ever describe it, is they were literally dropping like flies. And man, like, I actually was so surprised at how I didn't mind wiping butts. I didn't mind helping these older people go to the bathroom. I didn't mind the woman with dementia scratching me and attacking me. She didn't, obviously not purposely. She had dementia. Like, let's be real about that. I didn't mind that. I really didn't. The throw up, the naked man all the way, Henry, am I allowed to say that? Henry all the way down at the end of the hall, naked, us running towards him, put your clothes on. Like, just like all of that had so much purpose behind it. And I hadn't felt that sense of purpose before, because I think I didn't realize how much I had in life and how much I should have been grateful for. Because, I mean, these poor people, their families couldn't come. You would see them just disintegrate in front of your eyes. It was really, really sad. The one thing that I realized this is not for me, and this field is not for me, is watching them die. And I had to. Like, there was just no choice. And I think I didn't realize the depth of watching someone pass away in front of you, and or coming into your next shift and them saying, yep, Steve died. And you got so close to Steve, and they warn you not to get close to them, like super, super close. But man, I couldn't. I wanted to be the light of their lives because I knew that I would probably be the only person putting a smile on their face that day. And I feel selfish saying this, and I had a rough time saying this at first, but I couldn't handle it, and I had to leave because mentally it just started putting me in a really rough place again, not because I was purposeless, but because I quite literally could not handle death. So I started going into a rabbit hole of maybe I could be a barista. Don't know where that came from. But there was a place that on LBI, if you know New Jersey, here you go. I worked at the local market in LBI and met some incredible people. I loved my work there. I actually really started to admire my boss and their daughter, the manager, Emily. Shout out to you. I love you so much. Basically, the owners, like, I just watched in great detail how much hard work they put into their business. And it really, really was inspiring. And I started talking about how I'm going to go to a lash and brow class, learn lash lifts, lash extensions, and brow laminations. And I'm so excited. And all of their responses were, that's amazing. Like, keep it up. Like, they were so encouraging. And I had never felt that from like an external source of like my parents. Like, my parents were, again, always supportive of my visions for myself and my life. But I had never felt that from other individuals, and it truly is because they did the same thing. They saw a vision for themselves, and they grew this business from the ground up. I mean, their story is inspiring, super incredible. And I got certified, and all of my coworkers there were so nice. They let me do their lash extensions, and one girl, my gosh, Logan, I'm so sorry. You had to sit there for about like 4 hours. Me trying to do her extensions, not doing, but trying. And just everyone in my life was like supporting me and understanding that like maybe this is a vision. Maybe I'd go back to aesthetics. Maybe it truly was my calling and what I should be doing. I slowly started to realize how good people felt after getting their lashes and brows done. The owners of that place I was a barista at, they were very encouraging. They were like, you can just put your lash table out here. We'll get our lashes done. We could do events for you. Give us your business cards. Like, again, I just had never felt this big push in my life with a vision that I had. And so, yeah, I started out of a shed of this angel of a lady. Her name is Kate, and it's Tim's neighbor. And it was spa-like. It wasn't weird. It wasn't a weird, gross shed. It was made to be a spa. So, of course, like, everything was okay. Everything was super clean. It was, like, legit. But it wasn't my house, right? So I started posting my services on Instagram, marketing the crap out of myself, posting stories to literally no one, which I'm starting from scratch with this. I'm making this probably no one's going to watch this. Like, maybe I can think of like 10 people who have told me like, if you did this, I would listen. And that's enough for me to just get started. Same thing with my Instagram stories. I was posting, guys, I'm in the shed today. Like, I'm doing lashes. I'm super busy, booked up. I had no one. And just like the community I felt from this was astronomical. Like, I will never forget how encouraging people were of this vision. It was just insane, and I'm so lucky and blessed for that. And so I just kept on. I would lug all of my stuff because I didn't want to leave it there, because Kate is a massage therapist, and she was also a teacher. So after her teaching hours, she would massage. So during her teaching hours was when I would be in there taking clients. And so I couldn't have my stuff in there. A shed is a shed. It's not that big. So I never wanted to leave my stuff in there. I would lug all of my stuff from my trunk down at the bottom of the hill of her house. I would lug it all the way up, my cart, my sheets, like everything that I needed. I would set up the room. I would make it perfect. I would spend so long doing it, and I was so proud of myself. And I would post a story every morning saying in the shed, and even if I sat there all day long with no one, even if I came later in the day. But man, I drove there and I would be there. I lived an hour away at the time. I would drive from my house an hour to Kate's house, to the shed, to be there at 7 to take my first client of the day. Or if I didn't have a client, I would post. It was just like the dedication was there, and I started to feel this fire in me, and it was just really, really cool. And again, like all of the encouragement was awesome. And then I started getting clients. And the more I posted, the more people I would get. I would go on live. I would do a giveaway. I would do so many things to show that I am going to do this. I believe in myself. It's going to happen. And I essentially just kept going. And for 6 months, I was there. And during that time, I knew that I wanted to open a storefront. I don't know how I knew. I was praying. I'm religious and I pray, but if you don't, that's okay. But for me, it was just like, wow, like, thank you for giving me all that I have. And thank you for giving me the strength to keep going. I don't know where this fire is coming from, but I love it. And I love where my life is going. And I'm so proud of myself. And I started learning new skills and just naturally learning skills. It wasn't like, oh, I have to study this and I have to do this. No, like I naturally was like, okay, well, I want a new space. Let's research real estate agents. I want this to be my aesthetic on Instagram. What kind of camera do I need then? Do I even need a camera? Do I just vlog? Like, how does this work? And I just started figuring out all these skills, acquiring these new skills as I went. And finally, I toured a couple places. One was in Pittman, and well, I don't know if I should say locations. We'll say that, but the second one was not. And the second one was the one I went with, and it was tiny. It was so small, literally so small. And we just moved out of there actually a couple months ago to this new space that we are in, which is beautiful. But I remember I actually interviewed for a facialist in the shed for this new space that was getting renovated by my landlord, who just did like a cheap but like good for the time job. Like it wasn't bad. It definitely, the walls were a little too thin. You could hear a little bit too much, but that's okay. It worked. And while that was being built, I was interviewing in the shed. I found a girl, opened, did a grand opening. Tim's family was there. It was very beautiful. Joe from End Grain, a coffee place that I love, he came with his wife, whose wife had been supporting me, and I had actually been doing mobile as well. I forgot to touch on that. While I was in the shed, I was also going to people's houses and being mobile with lashes, brows. And I basically just built my clientele, had my grand opening, started trying to build the clientele of the facials, and I, throughout the year, started realizing, lashes and brows are growing, but facials are not. And I tried so hard to post on Instagram and do all of that. And I think because I was really detached from facials and I had not been doing facials, that really hindered how I was able to advertise for them. So I tried my best. I bet you I was not the best at all as a boss. I mean, this person was my first person that I'd ever been a boss to. I had ever done payroll with. I had figured that skill out, acquired that skill. I mean, it was rough and I just felt horrible. I mean, I would come to work and I would be busy and this girl would just be twiddling her thumbs and I just didn't know what to do. I felt so horrible. And at the same time, she had told me her goal was to do like medical facials, right? And not medical facials, but chemical peels. And she expressed to me like, hey, can we please do this? And at the time, it just really wasn't realistic for me. I was like, I can't afford it, especially if we're not doing good with regular facials. Like, let's get the ball rolling with that. Also, it wasn't the correct season. I think this was like in spring, so it was about to be summer, which if you're an esthetician, that is not peel season. But fall is. So it was like maybe around fall. And unfortunately, like, it just led to a falling out. And again, like, I could have been naive and not the best boss. I tried my best, and you know what? I am so proud of myself for that. And all I can do, and I've said this to her when we kind of parted ways, is I hope for the best for her. And that was really tough. It was kind of tough being like, damn, like, I just lost an employee. But in the meantime, actually, as that whole thing was unwinding, the overlap with this situation was about like a month, where I actually was like, I kind of want to have a full body waxer. I, at the time, was doing some full body waxing, but not really. I didn't have a lot of clients for that. I mainly focused on lashes and brows. And so I was like, I want to bring in a part-time waxer. So I went on Indeed, learned that skill, went on Indeed, posted a job posting for a waxer, and found a girl named Hannah. And this is going to sound like a love letter, but man, I cannot believe that I found Hannah. She has been the bread and butter of just encouraging me to keep going and fighting and being me and doing more. And just, Hannah, I love you. And she was that employee who made me realize, like, yes, I'm doing things decently enough to keep growing. But so I hired Hannah, and she really taught me how to wax. I tried saying, I can train you, like, I don't know. And she was like, okay, like, very polite. I taught her. She was like, we're going with my way. So quickly we went with her way, and man, it worked. So basically we did a photo shoot with us three, me, the original, like, first employee I had, and then Hannah. And shortly after, the first girl and I fizzled out, and she went on her merry way to do facials somewhere else. I hope she's doing great. But me and Hannah just started being this power duo of, she was really dedicated to waxing and being that girl, like being someone's waxing girl. And at first it was rough because not all her clientele followed her. She was like 30 minutes away from where we were then. And so not all your clientele is going to follow, which is okay. And she told me that actually she was on her last leg with aesthetics. She was about to be done, and thank God we found each other, because she is now still in the industry, and I mean, she literally is the reason that L.E Studios has just had a reason to stay open. But yeah, we just kind of were the dynamic duo. It was a little rough here and there, Again, I'm gonna do an episode on being a boss, but I just kind of had to figure out things, how to not be friends, but how to be friendly and still be like a team and love each other and do anything for each other. And I really learned a lot through her. And then she became pregnant, and which was just such a beautiful situation to go through with someone when I look back. But in the beginning, I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? Like, I was so scared. I was like, what am I gonna do? 9 months, and then she's probably gonna be out like 2 months before, 1 month before, and like, this is a really physical industry to be in, so I don't know, like, am I gonna be able to provide enough for her? Am I gonna, just my thoughts went everywhere. And at the same time, cohesively, I had a client named Sarah, and Sarah was in esthetician school, and Sarah was one of the most hardworking people I had met, her being a client of mine, and just the way she spoke about things and the way she was with it. And she was playing hard to get, because listen, I've had clients in the past being like, are you hiring? And like, shoot your shot. I am not saying that in any way, and I'm not trying to embarrass anyone who had done that. But to me, it was like, it was slightly an ick, because I was like, is this going to ruin our relationship as you being a client and me being your service provider if I say no? And Sarah never did that. She played hard to get. And I was like, this girl's in esthetician school. Does she not want to work for me? I was like, I want her to work for me because she sounds with it. She sounds like she knows all the ins and outs. Like, not, I mean, obviously she's not experienced in the industry, but like she was with it and she was excited for the journey ahead as an esthetician. And that's just what I wanted. And so I started saying, oh, like we should chat about you maybe being included in L.E Studios, but I don't know, like if you want to, I don't know if you want to do waxing. I don't know if you want to do facials. And she was like, oh yeah, I don't want to do facials at one point. In the beginning, she said she did. So I was like, oh, like might not be my girl. But then slowly but surely, as she went throughout school, she started to like waxing and, you know, the idea of lashes and brows more. And so in November, I think this was November of 2022. Yeah, November of 2022 at this point. Hannah started getting real sick from being pregnant. So I immediately was like, Sarah, we're interviewing and you are going to probably be part of my team, but we're interviewing first because I have a strict interview process. I do not hire friends. I am like very, very strict with hiring process, which again, we will have a podcast on. But I was like, I need to interview you right now. Are you ready for a job? And she had her temporary, so she could hop in. So she was like, yeah. So we interviewed. Everyone always says I scare them when I interview them, but in a good way, which that's great. And she said she was really scared and nervous because she had never seen that side of me before because she had been my client. But it like definitely lit a fire under her. So then she started coming in, training under Hannah. I mean, she just full on got such good training with Hannah because she was replacing Hannah, not fully and full time, but just when Hannah was gone. Like that was her purpose of working, and it was going to be maybe a seasonal thing. We didn't know how it was going to work like past when Hannah came back, but she just started learning under Hannah, and we started really creating this dynamic team. I mean, I felt fulfilled. And again, this is another love letter, but man, these girls have just really encouraged me like no other and validated all of my crazy thoughts. This podcast, like many things that are coming down the road, they're like, yeah, we know you'll do it. We know that you'll get it done. Moving to this space, they've highly encouraged me throughout. And I mean, I've just never felt that way. And it was a really awesome feeling when I began to feel that way about them and our team. Yeah, so they were training. Hannah then went on maternity leave. It was really scary for me because Sarah and I had not been alone. We'd had this great trio happening, and then it was just gonna be us. And at the same time, I hired a girl named Carly, and she became the coordinator or front desk girl, whatever you want to call it. I don't want to call her front desk because she does way more. She answers the phone, she coordinates with clients, she helps clean, she helps figure stuff out that I don't know what to do. She does media decks. She will laugh at that. But yeah, she just like was such an asset. And so she started working at L.E Studios around the time that Hannah left. So Hannah and her did not know each other. And so Hannah went on maternity leave. Sarah and Carly and I were working together. And I will say, I really needed them as a duo to be on the team. Not to say that like Hannah and I were not enough. Like absolutely, we could have gone throughout our lives being together and we would have been this crazy dynamic duo and it would have been amazing. But adding Sarah and Carly, they almost make me feel like, hey, life isn't that serious. You can have a good laugh and we can have fun. And although we don't have to be best friends, but we can still have a good time at work. And so they taught me like, I can mess around. This can be fun. This doesn't have to be like strict, serious. This is my vision. We're going to get there like right now. And so they kind of taught me to just like enjoy it, enjoy this whole process. And obviously I really, really was aching because I missed Hannah so much, and Sarah was going through her trials and tribulations with, hopping in as a service provider. I mean, she wasn't even fully a year into even doing waxing or having clients. Like this was new, and she was just thrown in with with Hannah's clientele that she had grown. So it was crazy and scary, and obviously like her clients were a little nervous too, and so it was just all this weirdness. But again, it just acquired a lot of skills that I needed going through all of this. And then Hannah came back. And we were having some troubles. There was jealousy and, oh, well, this client didn't come back to me and they stayed. And it was really hard. And Hannah and I would hope she doesn't mind me sharing this, because I think she very much understands what that side of her was at the time. I mean, she had just come back from maternity leave. It was a lot to handle, that like someone else may still have some of her clients and they might not go back to her. And I had to say to Hannah, get over it. Like, what your clients decide to do is their situation. And I wholeheartedly believe that you can continue to grow a clientele and do more with that. And that is not to say like, oh, Sarah, that's so annoying, like she had her clients. No, like, good for Sarah. Like, people come to service providers to feel a part of something and someone's clientele, right? So like, for example, I'm very quiet in the treatment room. I am not loud and laughing all the time. And sure, I'll have good times with my clients that have been with me forever, or I'll make jokes and things like that. And it's fun, but I'm more reserved and I'm more quiet. And so I typically get a lot of people like that. Your clients are a reflection of who you are and who you put yourself out to be. And so that's my clientele. Whereas Sarah's clientele is all silly, goofy, fun. They come to have a kiki and have a good time. Hannah's clientele is like, let's be real. Like, they're just real. Like, not to say everyone else is fake, but man, like Hannah and her clients, their conversations are just like, how's life? It sucks. And then they elaborate. And it's so funny because I've witnessed like some of it. So you're going to different personalities. So obviously, like, this is not a knock at Sarah for like some of Hannah's clients remaining with her, and it's not a knock at Hannah for some of her clients going back to her and whatnot, right? So that was a lot to learn, but ultimately, like, we all kind of understand we just want to grow. Like, at the end of the day, what do we want? We want to grow. We want to keep going. And honestly, after that, we just kept on having the ball roll. Carly was involved. We have plans in the works now. Like, I started developing things. I told the girls that once Hannah came back from maternity leave, the things that I've been developing, one of them being this, another coming soon. But, I always say, like, this team just believes in me more than I believe in me. They believe in L.E Studios more than I sometimes believe in L.E Studios. And that's the team that you want. That is the team that, man, you just dream of. And I could not be more thankful. Obviously, I have to put in the work in order to have that team remain. Yeah, it's just, wow, what an honor to have this team. And, we're doing so well as a team to the point where we could move. So this past fall of 2023, we just grew and grew and grew. I signed a lease for this new space. We started doing the construction. It was a nightmare at times. I mean, we got a quote that was literally like, whew, $250,000. And that is not what a small business has. Like, listen, we grew, but we did not grow that much in order for me to do that. I threw all of my savings into this space. It was a lot of stress. I was breaking out like crazy. My period wasn't coming. Like, it was an intense point in my life. To the point where I started to feel kind of groggy and depressed, but not really depressed like I had been in the past in the beginning of my story. But yeah, I just kind of felt lost. But all throughout that, just having my team be by my side has been a blessing, and they have been the ones to help me keep going. I hired 2 other girls who are beautiful, and yeah, like, we're just on this new chapter in our lives, and I feel that's all I can really like speak on. We did go into, I will go into this real fast, is that we actually added on spray tans into our business, which was so exciting. Hannah had been begging me to do it. I didn't want to do it at first, not saying that I don't enjoy it now, but like at the time I was like, like, we're about to move. This is a lot. Like, I don't know. I don't want to bring it on. Like, I just don't know. And we brought it on. We went to a class that was amazing. Dolce Glow, it was beautiful, by Isabel Elisa. We learned from her herself. She's a celebrity spray tan artist. If you don't know her, you're living under a rock. You should probably go look her up. She's amazing. We are now ambassadors for them, which I'm so proud of. Not sponsored, just wanted to say that that team is what I aspire to be. So had to give them a shout out. Learned spray tans from there. We quickly actually did Dancing with the Stars spray tans while they were on tour. And even though it wasn't like we didn't do the best of the best work that we could have done, we were very much under a lot of pressure and very nervous. And actually they were our first clients ever. We had been practicing, but they were our first clients ever. We just shot our shot. The manager reached back out to us, said, how about Tuesday? That was on a Friday. We called Dolce Glow, said, we don't have enough solution. Can you please help us? They sent out the solution. They were beautiful. Again, like dream team Dolce Glow. Like I want to be you and I will be similar to you. And so, yeah, they helped us out. We went, we did the spray tans. It was an amazing experience. We got traction from it, which was super cool. It really highlighted that, hey, we're doing spray tans now. And not only that, we're mobile. We're doing things for parties. We're doing things for celebrities. We're still continuing to reach out to celebrities. So that aspect of us has really lit a fire in us as well. Like, hey, this is another possibility of where the beauty studio, I mean, that is what it is, but where L.E Studios is going. And yeah, I mean, that's all I really feel I can speak on in this episode of just the origin of L.E Studios. There's so much more happening now, which we will get into in the next episode. But wow, what a beautiful story. Like listening back to this, I'm so excited to watch this back and just really listen to my story. I feel like I executed it pretty well. But I'm just grateful. And at the end of the day, just know what you have in life. And I look around, and even though, again, you'll know in next episode, shit can hit the fan, okay? But when it is, that's just a learning curve. And I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for every tough situation that's come up, being a boss, being an owner, not understanding taxes, like not knowing what the bills are going to be, almost not making payroll. All of these scenarios have really helped shape me into being the business owner that I want to be. So that's my origin story. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned for the next episode where I talk about losing all of that. Almost all of that. So everything I just talked about, I am in the thick of losing, unfortunately. Again, you'll just have to stay tuned. I know that's a big drop, but I hope you enjoyed this story. And man, I'm just proud looking back at it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for caring. I know not a lot of people are listening. I have that expectation of literally, who am I to be going on doing a podcast when probably no one's going to listen? But I'm getting my reps in right now because this podcast is going to keep going and I'm super excited. But thank you. I love you guys. Please feel heard and loved. And please know that whatever vision you have, if you just take action, you can do it. Because I'm just a girl. Okay, I'm just a girl. Just a girl. Stay tuned for next episode. Please, I don't know how this works. Do you subscribe? I mean, I'll be putting this on YouTube. But if you're listening on Spotify or whatnot, do you like it? I don't know. If you do. I don't know how this works. I'm new. Love you guys.